Welcome to I'm an Asset podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Breanne Smith.
And I'm your other host, Zachary Wilson. Today we're coming at you with a topic that I've been wanting to explore for a little while now. And I was actually reminded of it the other week. It's credit cards. We're going to talk about credit cards today.
Awesome.
And so I asked her a couple questions about it. And then I started having all these thoughts. And then we both realized, you know what, this would be a great topic to explore in our podcast because there are likely many of you, if you're my age, wondering the same thing. And so this is going to be very candid, extemporaneous, real discussion of because I know nothing about them. I'm going to ask all the questions that you probably have. So let's hop into it. I was first going to talk about how I did think about this again. So as I'm gearing off to go to college, has come up more in our conversations because as you go to college, there is more independence depending on how your parents are helping you out. Typically, parents do help out if they can. There's always if you're starting to pay for insurance or your house or different stuff you finance, the credit score might come up. And I was like, people know me and trust me, but do the banks? I was like, how am I going to get a credit score? And because I've never borrowed money before from a credit or like anything. So I was like, I heard online some people do like a gas card where they really don't go around just buying, discretionary items, but they will just get gas on a card. And it's not like they get benefits or anything. It's just like a purchase you make regularly so that you can practice paying off the card regularly and build your credit score and just build the routine of doing that. And so I asked her, should I do that? And what do you say to that?
Should you get a gas card?
Should I get a credit card?
A credit card in general. Well, I think one thing that you should realize that when you become this age where you're 18, you're almost 19, you're about to go to school, you are a target for credit card companies to want to get you an account. So I think there's a lot of things to consider. Number one, you're going to start getting a lot of credit card offers in the mail.
I have
for that reason, because credit card companies want to get you on the books. One thing about your credit score is the longer you have a credit card, the better your credit score. So if you have a credit card from college, I don't have one from college, but I have one pretty close to around the college age, so 20 years open. So I have a credit card account that's been open for 20 years. That's actually really good for your credit to have one for a very long time. So I think a lot of credit card companies are trying to get you in right now. So I would not be surprised if other students your age are experiencing the same thing. But I don't think a credit card is right for everybody, because I think you have to have the personality and diligence to be responsible with a credit card.
That's
it is
true.
Good practice for paying for bills, but I would say there are a couple of things I want. If you don't have these mindsets about money, then you probably shouldn't get a credit card. Number one, if you don't have the mindset of building up some savings and not spending all of your money every month, then that's number one. So for example, let's say you're making $1,000 a month at your job, and at the end of the month, you have no money in your account. That's probably number one. You probably shouldn't get a credit card. And what you might be thinking is, well, maybe I need a credit card so I can buy more things. No, that's exactly why you don't need a credit card. For you, I think number one, you check that box because you have a significant amount of savings. You don't spend everything that you make. And I think that the reason that you want a credit card, which would be number two, is the right motivation for a credit card. Because why do you want a credit card, Zachary?
Because I want to eventually be able to buy stuff and finance stuff. And
you want to build your credit. So if that's the reason, number two, then I think that checks the box of credit card might be okay for you. If the reason you want a credit card is because you don't have enough money to buy the things that you want, it's probably not a good idea.
Which Dave Ramsey, I think, actually explores that topic a lot. And knowing I think he calls it your consumer mentality, might be the word he uses. Basically, are you leaning more towards emotional impulse spending, or are you do you save in the long run? Stuff like that. That's not really what I want to discuss today, but I did want to bring up about Dave Ramsey's philosophy about never taking a loan or borrowing money ever. What do you say to that? Because today we're talking about having a credit score so you can do those things. So
Right.
I know you follow a lot of his philosophies and agree
Yeah.
with that.
Huge
So
Dave Ramsey
what
fan.
do you say to that?
This is an area where I diverge a little bit from Dave Ramsey, because Dave Ramsey would say he doesn't have a credit score. Well, Dave Ramsey also has millions and millions of dollars and doesn't need a credit score. So I think in the window of time where actually financing is a reality that you would need to buy a house and a car, and a lot of people don't have, $50,000 to buy a vehicle in cash. And he would say, well, then you shouldn't have a $50,000 car. But I think there are some things that there's a window, I guess, of a season of your life where it would be appropriate. Now, I also like the use of credit cards for certain things. So that's why I asked you, why do you want one? If you want one so that you can spend more, it's probably not a good idea. But then with Dave Ramsey, he's really talking with people who have already had credit cards, who are in a debt situation, who are trying to get out of it. So we're talking to really more those who have not yet started using credit.
Yeah, you were talking about some preventative measures a second ago about, like, if you do this, you probably shouldn't get a credit card yet.
So number 3 is the area in which you would spend it on. So your example was, I would like to get a gas card, which means you would only use it for gas. And I think that that's an easy way to get started with it. It doesn't have to actually be a gas card for you to only use it for gas. So my recommendation would be that you get a credit card, and we can look at the various interest rates and fees on those to see which one is the best. But that for a while you only use it for gas. And this is because the kind of fourth thing about should you or should you not is how good at paying your bills are you? Well, you don't really have any bills yet, Zachary. So you're not used to paying rent on the first of the month or paying the utility bill but you are used to paying for your gas. And that's something that you already spend money on. And it's not like you would be spending extra on gas. It's something you're already used to. So it's a good place to start where you decide, I'm not going to use this card for anything other than gas. And it shouldn't change anything in your checking account other than once a month you need to pay the credit card bill.
Exactly. So I think it's good because it can help build those life skills of doing, like, getting into that routine. I wanted to ask you while we were on, if you think this is a reasonable, for my age, reason to get a card. I remember when we were talking about, since I'm going to college soon and the money conversations are coming up, I thought about not taking out any student loans because of what Dave Ramsey said. But then we started talking about, student loans really are really good. And you're actually just wasting, an opportunity to make your money work for you if you don't take any loans. So what do you say to that? Because I was kind of like, I think the conclusion we reached was, if I'm not spending every dime I have left on my college tuition because I've used student loans, then I can have the money I do make work for me. So what do you say to that?
Yeah, I think so. And I also, my stance on certain types of debt are, it's good debt. And again, love Dave Ramsey. He probably wouldn't agree with me on this, but if debt is backed by an asset, it's not as terrible as credit card, for example, that is not backed by assets, and that's consumer debt. But student loans, I also think is okay, because I think you're investing in your education, which will increase your personal capital, which will give you more, hopefully, income than you would have without college. So I think student loans are an okay debt to take on. And for you, you have any number of opportunities for a job that, you know, you could go into. And all of those are careers that would require a 4-year, at least a 4-year education. So I think if you were to take on some student loans during college, that would be okay. And the cool thing about student loans is for most of them, you don't have to start paying them until you get out of school. So ideally by then you would have a job and you'd have the ability to pay
Exactly. Yeah.
for your student loans. I had student loans that I paid for because my parents paid for some of my college that they could. And I had some scholarships, but it didn't cover everything. But then if I didn't go to college because I couldn't afford it and I didn't put in my student loans, I'd just be in such a different position right now without it. So I think if that's your option and you need to take out student loans to go to school to invest in your personal capital, I think it's a good idea.
Everyone's situation is different, and obviously the way we're talking about this is geared more toward me, but I think the general conclusion you can take away from this is just, you know, don't let the idea of money, you know, get to you. Credit cards, you see, the way credit card companies make the money is by, you know, taking advantage of you not being responsible. So responsibility, I'd say, is one of the biggest aspects of money in general, and then credit cards or borrowing money. So
because it's really a lot like cash if you pay it all off on the due date. And where people get into trouble is they are only paying a minimum payment or less than the balance on the due date. So now the remaining balance incurs interest rate, interest on top of it. And I'm working with someone right now who has gotten into a situation where she has at least 20 credit cards and they are all maxed out, and the interest rate on them are all in the high 20%. It's very difficult to get out of once you get it to that point. So as you're starting with a credit card, you start for the right reason, and you make sure that you're only spending it on something that you already are spending anyway. So gas, you're already paying for that bill. It's not like an extra expense in your monthly budget. So I think those are two good things to think about if you're going to do it, to just get started and don't start, you know, responding to every credit card opportunity that comes in the mail.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to say one more thing before we reach a conclusion. I heard somebody, I can't even remember, it might have been Morgan Housel in The Psychology of Money, talked about one of the greatest factors in determining what you do with your time is money. And so in other words, you know, if you have the money, you don't have to go to work to make money. So you don't have to spend time doing work if you already have the money. Like, you see kind of how that works.
Yeah.
So the credit card trap is definitely your money's owning you now. You're not owning anything, because now you have to change your life and how much you're working and what you have to give your money to, because you're in debt. So that's why debt can be dangerous, is because credit card debt can change your life in a very negative way. So that kind of goes back to, you know, everything else we've been talking about. I do want to say, what do you think after this conversation? Do you think I should get a gas card?
I think, like I said, I do think I would be okay with you getting a credit card, because I think you check all the boxes as far as why you want it and you being responsible. And I do believe it would be a good experience for you to bill credit and to pay a bill, and it would just be one bill for now. And but I don't think it should be a gas card. I think it should be just a Visa or MasterCard or some kind of credit card that you could use on anything. Because then later when we say, okay, you can kind of move on from just buying gas with this, we can use it for other things, then you don't have to get a second card. You will already have one that you can use. And over time, as you use a credit card responsibly, that credit card company will give you better rates, better deals. I also, you know, certain cards have benefits that other cards don't have.
Flyer points, all that stuff. That's a whole nother rabbit hole we could go down. And maybe we will one day. But today, I think we did a great job talking about.
You did a great job. Yeah. I like this question. I'm glad we've gotten to the point where we're like, let's save this for the podcast because this is something I think other students your age are probably interested in wondering. And if it's not the right time right now, that doesn't mean maybe never get a credit card, but until you can start the money habits that are necessary to maintain one, it's just not the right time until then.
Well, thank you guys for watching today. If you have any more questions or any more topics you'd like us to explore in future episodes, please respond in the comments below, or you can reach out on our website. We do also have merch on our website, and we have many other platforms if you want to
check us out on YouTube.
Watch us another way or anything. So
thanks for watching. See you next time.